I did want to say a little bit about award acceptance, and I think of that as something different than award negotiation in the sense, especially that that it applies to both grants and contracts. For one thing, we've been talking about negotiating contracts, but when you're accepting a grant, you also have to do this calculus, if you will, to make sure that you're in good stead to accept the terms of the award, grant or contract. So, are the final terms acceptable to all parties? Identifying exactly who those parties are is a challenge in and of itself. But before you accept either a grant or a contract, think about who do I need to consult before this is a done deal? Are there particular unusual terms and conditions? And these could be anywhere. I think of unusual invoicing practices, for example, that require copies or original receipts. Well, that's not something that the PI is going to care about, and he might end up caring about it, but not at the time of award acceptance. But your sponsored accounting office may. So, what are those terms and conditions? Who needs to be consulted? Are there certain liabilities that might be embedded or hidden costs that might be embedded in those terms and conditions where you need to go and work with a stakeholder to make sure that they're okay with it? I'm thinking about, for example, FISMA, the Federal Information Security Management Act. Uh, it's no skin off my nose to sign a contract that has a FISMA clause in it, but I'll tell you what, the college that ends up with a FISMA clause is going to end up spending a lot of money out of their own pockets if they aren't aware in advance that this clause is in the contract and is going to be something that they need to pick up. So identifying those issues and reaching out to the right parties. And are there any significant differences between what was proposed and what you eventually landed on, grant or contract again? So at Michigan, we have a policy that if you're changing the indirect cost rate, or if it's the budget is 20% more or less than what was proposed, or the time frame is different, or there's a change in cost sharing that was originally agreed, or there's a significant change in scope, all of those trigger a post-submission administrative review prior to acceptance so that we know everyone is yet okay. All the stakeholders agree that this is different than what we thought we were getting when we went into it, but we're still okay. So just thinking deliberately about who you need to consult before that award actually gets accepted. Uh, and of course, we live in a highly regulated environment, so obviously you need to make sure that compliance issues are resolved if they need to be resolved prior to award acceptance. And then what does acceptance really mean? If it's a grant, it's a unilateral award. Acceptance really means, well, you start asking for you start drawing down funds.
Correct.
Acceptance for a contract though means you actually have a authorized legally binding signature affixed to that instrument. And then the question is, make sure you're clear about who is actually authorized to sign that agreement. So all parts of the award acceptance process that you need to be mindful of.